Hello and welcome to UC Today. I'm Kristian and today is the big UC update for New Era. And to walk me through it is Joe Gillis, Senior VP Sales and GVC and Strategic Growth. Joe, thanks for taking the time to join us today.
Thanks, Kristian. Appreciate it. Happy to be here.
Well, so maybe we should start a bit about you and could you share us a bit about your personal background?
Yeah, sure. So I'm obviously over here in the States. I lead our global video collaboration and strategic growth initiative for newer technology. We're obviously a global organization. I have sales and engineering teams to help me with those initiatives.
Excellent. And what are some facts or achievements that can really highlight a bit about yourself and your career?
Yeah, so I mean, I've kind of grown from boots on the ground account executive to where I am now. So obviously managed teams throughout the U.S. and throughout the world. Really a focus on sales leadership, kind of go-to-market strategies, partnerships, and really kind of strategic looking into our customer base and how we can kind of grow with them and service them appropriately.
And excellent. And what aspects of your job are you most passionate about?
Yeah, I really like building strong partnerships. I know at the end of the day, we're all people, and data and metrics can tell a story, but there's obviously people behind all those things. So kind of working with teams, building and growing teams is really one of my biggest focuses.
Talk a lot about your work with partnerships and building and growing teams. I could wonder, what does a typical day in the life look like for you?
Yeah, I mean, it could be anything, right? So, we could be talking, about a customer opportunity. We could be talking about a business process. How are we going to leverage new tools that are available to us? Obviously, we have a lot of engagement with our executive leadership team as well. So, no 2 days are the same, which is partially why I like this role. It's very interesting, very fun. But it can be a lot, and just looking at a lot of different directions. So, it's no 2 days are the same. Is probably the best way of putting it.
Okay, now moving on to New Era. Could you give us New Era in a nutshell?
Yeah, so obviously we're a global systems integrator with a wide breadth of different services, and we try and service our customers from a physical and digital perspective. And the whole idea being, how can we align with their business processes and what their strategic goals are, and try and deliver those services in partnership to them, where we help them scale. Whether it's through geography, through resources, whatever the case may be, we try and partner with them across the globe.
Excellent. Well, you mentioned this global presence. I was wondering, could you tell us a bit more about this global presence, also the company's history and the overall size?
Yeah. So about 4,500 employees, roughly 80 brick and mortar locations in the U.S. I think, when we talk about brick and mortar, that's one metric of looking at it. But one of the more important things is we've delivered services in over 180 countries globally for some of our largest customers. If we look at the way that New Era came to be, it's been through some organic growth and also strategic acquisition. That's kind of how we've come to be a large integrator that is global. Really what the magic has been is, how do we actually integrate all those organizations that were acquired so we can create seamless service delivery engagements.
With such like a wide global presence and so many staff, how does New Era help foster a great company culture within that large footprint?
Yeah, I mean, that's honestly one of the biggest challenges for any large organization, right? And one of the things that we've tried to do is kind of create functional groups so our folks can there's a lot of idea sharing and transparency within those groups, so we can have, basically access to whether it's a person who's already done a role or done a function, especially for our new hires or new folks that are coming on board. A lot of what we've done too is just being transparent. What's going on within the business? What are the initiatives? What does the leadership team think that is going to be going on in the market, and what do we think we need to do to service our customers? Being transparent with the goals of the wider company and funneling that down to all of our different folks. That's really kind of one of the biggest things that allows our employees to feel like they have ownership, and they can actually provide input back upstream to the leadership to say, we think that the market is actually going in a different direction. So ownership, transparency, those are some of the biggest things that we've done to create trust and create culture within the organization.
Excellent. And rounding off this, what is an achievement or an accolade New Era have achieved recently that you would like to highlight?
Yeah, we have a wide breadth of services, so it's hard to pick out just one. I think some of our engagements around Copilot and Copilot Studio have been really a differentiation for us. We've gotten all types of Integrator awards and CRN awards for being a fast growing company or being an MSP or an MSSP. We'll probably defer to our website. And our marketing team does a great job of updating all those different kind of badges and awards that we have.
Excellent. Now let's dig a little bit deeper into the dynamics of New Era as a company. How does New Era approach the market, and can you describe your partner ecosystem and go-to-market strategies?
Yeah, so the way that we approach the market is it's segmented into two groups, and we basically have a mid-market group that services organizations that are, say 2,500 employees are under and maybe regionally focused. And then we have an enterprise services group that supports, large, Fortune 1000 or Fortune 1500 organizations. And really those engagement models are a little bit different. So in the mid-market, what we will typically try and do is be that full stack IT service provider and managed service provider to that organization and try and, basically be a single hand to shake for our customers across a wide spectrum of different technologies. As you go into the enterprise organizations, there's a lot more fragmented leadership in those organizations. And a lot of times your engagements are with very specific technologies. And the expectation that the enterprise has, they have different SLA models that they want to see. They have different reporting metrics that they want to see. So really it becomes much more of a bespoke service offering than a prescriptive kind of bronze, silver, gold type of package that a mid-market organization might look at. The other kind of component to the enterprise is they want to have a kind of a seamless look from different geographies as well. So from billing, from service delivery, from reporting, they want to see all that happen and all that happen in every single geography, right? So that's a very different engagement model. And luckily, given the way that we've grown, we're actually able to deliver both service models to our customers.
You mentioned customers being both mid-market and larger enterprises. I was wondering, could you tell us who typically buys New Era's products or services? And can you detail your ideal customer profile and tech buyer persona?
Yeah. So our ideal customer profile, again, is going to be different from the enterprise, from the mid-market, but in the mid-market, it's going to be an IT organization at the C-level would be the typical buyer profile. And we would basically be looking for somebody who's struggling to innovate, struggling to kind of deal with all the different things that the C-level, like the CISO or something like that, is responsible for. So they really need help scaling, and they need to have trust in their partner, basically be able to deliver those things. As we go into the upper, like the enterprise organizations, financial services, life sciences, logistics, any number, retail, any number of different types of organizations, where they need assistance typically is through scale. Like they really need to be able to scale up and scale quickly. And those buyers are, not typically going to be at the C level in the largest enterprise. You're going to be downstream in the VP and the director level folks. In some of our different, given that we have a wide breadth of services, sometimes we're in the IT stack, sometimes we're in facilities, other times we can be in various lines of business like the finance departments, sales departments, all different nature of different places. So it really depends on which solution set and which technology we're talking about to say which is the buyer persona that we would talk to.
Excellent. So with the managed services, I was wondering, what does your typical implementation strategy look like, and how do you ensure ongoing support and customer success post-implementation?
Yeah, so for our kind of branded managed services, the implementation is really going to be a kind of an onboarding schedule with basically milestones that we're going to hit and be able to kind of show dashboards back to our customers saying, okay, this is what the expectation was, this is what the SLA was, and here's the proof that these things have been done. From that data, hopefully that we're consuming, we should be able to show proactive insights. Are we seeing a device that's causing issues? Are we seeing multiple dispatches? Is there an opportunity for automation or for kind of, reducing the noise that happens in a lot of the ticketing systems? So basically the idea is we get them on board onto our platforms. We get data back, and then we glean insights from that data to show them how they might be able to operationalize a little bit more efficiently. and how we might be able to kind of really, at the end of the day, save money or save time for their employees.
Excellent. Now we know a bit about your implementation strategy. I was wondering, what would you consider some of New Era's key products or services?
Yeah, so the key services, and it's going to sound like the biggest buzzword in the world right now, but how do I enable AI across my organization, right? So I think a lot of times we see statistics saying 80 some odd % of the C-suite say put AI in, and how many people actually have AI enabled in their organizations is like 15 or 20% at best, right? So I think one of our things that we'll talk about, regardless of the conversation, it could be across collaboration, could be across audiovisual integration, but it's always, how do I layer AI over these solutions to be able to get insights, or how do I get my people more efficient, or how do I roll things out faster utilizing these tools to us? So if we're not talking about that as a way to create efficiencies for our customers, we're probably not doing our job. So that's one thing, and I know it's a buzzword. I know everybody talks about it, but it's real, and it creates real efficiency, and it's an absolutely kind of a must-have at this point.
Okay. With so many geographical spaces and so many different customers that you cater to, I was wondering what topics are currently dominating these conversations with your customers and partners. I can imagine what it might be, but what are they most interested and curious about, and what challenges are they facing?
Yeah, so there's a lot of challenges that our customers have come to us with. From there's a lot of local markets that they need supported. So how do we deliver seamless, basically service delivery experiences in every single geographic market, whether it be LATAM, EMEA, Australia, New Zealand, any number of different places. So how do I deliver those services? How do I deliver them the same? And how do I do it, cost effectively, right? And going back, what are the tools that we can leverage that are going to enable us to do that? And then, finally, where it always comes down to a conversation is where are the finances coming from? Where are the project budgeted? Are they in certain regions? That's going to make that engagement model a little bit more difficult, right? So how do you deal with all the geopolitical kind of implications of things that are going on now as well? And what we strive to be is a flexible partner, giving many options and kind of really hopefully innovating with them to show them how we've done things in the past and how maybe, those things can be kind of leveraged by that customer.
You've mentioned it earlier with some of your previous questions, but I just wanted to say, in a sort of summary, what main problems does New Era with its technology solutions solve for your customers, and have your customers' needs changed over the years, and if so, how?
Yeah, so it's kind of like the double-edged sword. One of the nice things about having such a wide breadth of services is we can typically connect the dots much quicker for our customers to understand where a challenge might be in a project. Obviously, that necessitates a lot of really intelligent people and a lot of high-end folks to understand what those implications are across different technology stacks. So how can I take a data lake and associate to like some type of physical security platform and understand like who's going inside and outside of my building? But then how do I kind of integrate that into my badge readers and all those things? So how do I connect all those dots? That's kind of one of the values that we believe that we bring to the market. So customer needs ever evolving, right? What we have seen is there was a lot of acquisition and divestiture going on over the past numbers of years. That it's slowed a little bit, but so I think a lot of the questions are on how do I integrate or divest these assets from my business. Now a lot of the questions seem to be around, it's around scale really at the end of the day. How do I do this little, pocket of scope of work, but do it across the world? That's a very common ask for us. And then again, we get challenged a lot to say, how are we implementing AI in our own processes to make ourselves more efficient so we can be more efficient for our customers? That's obviously a new need that we've been challenged back inside of our organization. And, I think we've had some engagements with UC today where we've talked about our AI experts and, the things that we're doing to operationalize AI, to build it into our teams and into our processes and really create profiles of types of employees and how they can best leverage the AI tools that are available to them.
Excellent. With so much going on in terms of AI, companies are having to prove to be very agile in a way to approach this innovation. I was wondering, can you explain how New Era manages to stay agile, approach this innovation, and gather feedback to generate new ideas?
Yeah, so that's a great question, and that comes back to the company culture about transparency and communication. So we've created, different, basically pockets of groups and teams of people who are doing similar roles or using similar tools, and basically messaging that back out to our organization. So it's through effective communication that we've been able to adopt and adjust some of our tooling, and really at the end of the day, being willing to change, because that's the biggest thing is everybody. I don't care who it is, they're resistant to change. Nobody likes it, but having a willingness to understand and listen and hear about something that maybe was a successful engagement with, internally, that with a certain employee, and bringing that adoption along is kind of that's a big thing. And it's a cultural thing at the end of the day, being able to take advice and implement that advice into your daily workflows. That's hopefully what happens.
Now, finally, we're going to rack your brain on what the future outlook might be. So, looking through your lens, what do you see as the biggest opportunity in your industry right now?
Yeah, so the biggest opportunity, I kind of touched on it earlier. It is AI, and it's understanding, that it's this massive lens of all of these different products, and it's really understanding, how do I implement this for my organization, identifying it and operationalizing it into workflows and into roles. So, I think we all have used Copilot, we've all used ChatGPT for our day-to-day and see how fast it makes things happen. But how do I actually implement it into the day-to-day things that I do, whether it's doing a quote for a customer? How can I improve the speed to quote? How can I improve the accuracy of the quote? And then all the way down to our operational workflows of, gleaning those insights from the data we're receiving back from our customers. Are we seeing things that are consistently broken? Are we seeing, delayed meetings? Are you seeing, delayed customer experience engagements? So how do we do that? How do we see that data? How do we make an insight very quickly into that data? And then how do you make a change from that very quickly as well?
Excellent. Well, Joe, I think that's everything for now. So just want to thank you once again for speaking to us today.
Yeah, thanks, Kristian. It was a pleasure.
Well, it's been great to learn more about New Era and its objectives. So if you've enjoyed this, don't forget to like and subscribe so you can stay up to date with all the big UC updates of more companies like New Era. So until then, see you next time.